Hi, this is Gail with Gailssouthernliving, and my guest today is Just Jason Keto. And I wanted to welcome in the people that are in the chat so far: Carrie Leonard, Tiffany with Canadian Family Life, Makeup Mom and Son, that's Michelle, Taz Adventures, and all that fluff and stuff. That's all I show on my computer, but sometimes when I'm on my phone, I get a few more comments that I don't get on the. Welcome in North Missouri Outdoors. I think we're going to get a tuber chat rate at some point here.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I wait a couple minutes before we start talking, but since they're going to be coming in a few minutes, we'll go ahead and get started on the questions. How long have you had your YouTube channel?
YouTube was, I think it's sort of 2 years and sort of 8 months kind of thing.
Yeah.
I was looking at it earlier. I can't remember exactly when it is, but it's, between 2 and 3 years kind of thing.
Yeah, mine just hit, I think my 3-year anniversary was sometime in August, like toward the end of August. I actually missed it by accident. I would have probably done some kind of something, but I didn't realize it. And I went on the laptop and it showed it in my dashboard. I was like, oh, because I do a lot of stuff on my phone, but I missed it because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to do a YouTube channel?
Well, I think ultimately the real sort of reason I started the YouTube channel is because I'd gone through a health improvement journey, and spent the first 2 years of that journey, I guess, mostly on Instagram, building up a following there. And then, I've been watching a lot of keto related YouTube channels for a long time. So I figured, now that I've learned as much as I have in the last 2 years, I'd come onto YouTube and basically try to help anyone else that might need the help getting healthy as well. So that's sort of what inspired it as far as starting the YouTube channel. I will admit that I naively thought that, having a big following on Instagram would translate over to YouTube, which ultimately it didn't, but
No.
it's, I learned that pretty quickly. So it's been a journey on YouTube as well, trying to build it up to where it is now, but, getting there slowly but surely.
Yes. Thank you, Tuber Chat, for the love raid. Welcome in, Ralph. Welcome in. Get to the farm, Katie's Kitchen, all that fluffy stuff. Barb's Country Home, Alfonso, and Kevin from Tuber Chat. Thank you for the love raid. We do appreciate it. I wanted to just say hi to a few folks. How long have you been eating the keto lifestyle?
Well, I've started that sort of January 1st, 2019. So again, it's, this coming January will be 5 years. So like I say, I was keto and I'd gone through most of my sort of transformation, if you will, before I even started the YouTube channel, which is one thing I kind of looking back, I wish I had started it when I started keto, but I was more focused on sort of getting healthy at that point. But yeah, it's been getting close to 5 years now.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's some dedication there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what. So I don't really know that much about the keto diet. What are like the basic background type ingredients that you use for most of your stuff? Welcome in Joe Serrano and Scratching Pete PA.
Yeah, it's, there's a lot of different sort of ways to go about a ketogenic diet. Ultimately, the whole point of keto, I guess, if you will, is to minimize the carbohydrates that you're eating. So sugars and grains and to keep your body, keep your blood level or your blood glucose levels as low as possible, which in turn allows you to start converting, fat in your body into energy, which is the liver converts that fat into ketones, which your body then in turn uses as energy instead of the glucose that's provided by sugar and grains and everything else that we find in the standard American diet. So ultimately, that's how keto works in a nutshell. As far as ingredients go, like I say, there's such a spectrum of, there's what's called lazy keto, where is basically as long as it's low in carb, as far as the macros go, anything goes in that diet, or that, it gets right to the other end of the spectrum, which is the carnivore diet, which is only meat, or even lion diet, which is basically a just beef, salt, and water. So it depends on where you are as far as what works best for you. But ultimately, it's just a matter of keeping the carbs low, eating healthy fats. I also try to avoid pretty much anything that has seed oils in it, like the canola oil and the vegetable oil and corn oils. And
yeah, I stopped using that stuff. I use olive oil now, avocado oil, coconut oil. Those are the ones I've been using lately. Welcome, Jewel, in the kitchen. What kind of oils do you use?
Yeah, that's basically what I use as well. Olive oil. And if I'm cooking with any kind of oil, it's usually avocado oil. I know a lot of people get into using things like tallow, like beef tallow and lard and all that, because they're all animal fats, so they're not as bad as the seed oils for you. So, but it's that to me is one of those things where, again, when you're starting a health journey or trying to convert to a ketogenic diet, the seed oils, while they are really bad, sometimes it's really hard to avoid. So that's one of those things that sort of I find is more of a gradual thing, because you're trying to change your diet, but then if you're going to get rid of seed oils, a lot of people don't realize that, but seed oil is basically in almost every single product you can buy at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Even things you wouldn't expect it to be in, it's there. So trying to avoid it completely is really difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I started making like my own taco seasoning mix, because your standard taco seasoning mix has potato starch in it, and your own powdered ranch, because they just put some unidentified ingredients in there. If any of you guys have a ability to share this on your community tab, I would appreciate that. Let me see what question I have for you next. What is your favorite keto recipe that you make?
Recipes are kind of, I don't know. I'm sort of a simple type, as far as recipe goes. I guess, if you watch my channel for any length of time, that chaffles is what I, specialize in as far as videos go. So I like making those. And if anyone isn't familiar with chaffles, they're basically a waffle made out of eggs and cheese. That's hence the name chaffles.
You're the reason I tried the chaffle. I just made a simple one with cheese and egg and some seasoning, and I ate that day. But I actually need a better maker, because the one I have is for waffles, and it's got it when the girls were small, and it's kind of shaped like a giraffe or a little elephant. It's like for kids or whatever. But I mean, it worked, but it would be better if it were like bigger, I think.
Yeah, then that's I actually use the little Dash Mini ones, mainly because it makes for like really good hamburger buns, kind of like the shape and the size of it. And that's why I actually have two of them now, so that I can make more.
I actually put one on my Amazon wish list, and I actually did it from watching your video. I saw the little maker thing that you had, and I'm like, oh, I need one of those. So anyway, I'm just using that one for now. Hello, Free Handly Maid. Thank you for coming in. Free Handly Maid AU is my sister-in-law. Welcome in, Nora, the Stock Explorer, Trying to see Jesse with Jesse's Unboxings and More. Welcome in. Thank you guys for coming in. What would you say was the worst thing about eating keto? Do you have any anything negative to say about it? Something you don't like, or maybe something you miss that you used to eat that you can't eat?
Well, yeah, like it's ultimately, the cravings, well, they get a lot better over time for the things that you used to like. They do get better with time. It's always there, like when I go to parties or something and I see the big bags or bowls of chips and dip and all that stuff that I'm not eating anymore. It is tough to, it takes a lot of willpower to not just to go back to other things. So that was probably the hardest thing about starting keto. For me, specifically, the thing with me is I'm a all or nothing kind of personality. When I decided to do this, it was like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to, just eliminate everything. And that's why I don't stray from my plan at all. I haven't since I started keto, I haven't had any sort of non-keto meals whatsoever.
It's good.
Because I know the personality that I have, I know that would lead down the road of bad things happening. So
I know that's one of my struggles, is getting rid of the things. But I have been clearing out my cabinets, and there's a lot more empty space in there. But in those spots need to be the things I can eat. So I'm still working on building the pantry up with the things I can eat. Do you guys use, I don't know that much about keto. Do you use different flours like almond flour, cassava flour, coconut flour? Do you use those things in your cooking?
Yeah, there's nut flours are fairly prominent for people that can handle them. Personally, myself, like when I first started keto, I was baking all sorts of different breads and treats and stuff like that with almond flour and coconut flour and stuff like that. But over the years, I found that I'm actually can't really tolerate too much of that kind of stuff. So it sort of worked its way out of my plan. But yeah, the lower carb types of flours are used quite a bit in keto recipes. If you're trying to make crusts or things like that for pies and stuff, that's usually what it's made from. There is a lot of non-wheat flours out there. Some of them are lower carb than others. It's just whatever you can sort of personally handle, because everyone's different. Some people are able to eat a lot of nuts and nut flours, and some people can't. They just really bother me.
Yeah, so I think diets or lifestyle changes should be kind of catered to your own body, because I noticed even trying to eat the plant paradox, I kind of pull in a little bit of Trim Healthy Mama and a little bit of keto to kind of fit it to where, because Dr. Gundry gets into some fancy recipes, like you're saying, basic. My recipes that I eat on a daily basis need to be, like you said, more simple, because you're not gonna have a dessert every night. You're gonna have that maybe twice a month or something. You're not gonna be doing that all the time. It's still not good for you, but do you eat dark chocolate with keto? Because I know Dr. Gundry is all about the bitter chocolate and stuff. Hello, heard that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, dark chocolate with nothing added to it. Again, in moderation. There's that's fine. Again, it's one of those things. It's a personal thing. There's other keto sort of chocolates on the market as well that are sweetened with things like stevia and monk fruit, which are better than Hershey's chocolate, obviously. But again, it comes down to whether or not, personally, chocolate is one thing that I can't eat. It just really bothers my digestion, unfortunately.
That's my
So
craving. That's the thing I miss the most. And that's why
Mhm,
when I buy the dark chocolate, I try to get it that has the little squares. And then when I
mhm,
first get it, I'll break it into the little squares, put it in a Ziploc bag, and put it in the freezer. So if I have a craving, I just come and pull out one little square and I
mhm.
try to keep that so that if I have that, I have that little piece and that satisfies me, and then I don't. Welcome in New York Gail Hart. I don't know. There's an F in there too. I might have messed that one up. Welcome in Heard That and Gwen. I'm sorry if I've missed anybody in the chat. Okay. Let's see what my. Do you garden? Are you a gardener?
Not really. My typically we have a little 3 foot by 3 foot planter box that every summer we put in a couple of different tomato plants and sometimes some pepper plants, but that's about it. So uh, not that much. I spend most of my time looking after my lawn, and that's about the extent of the gardening I do. But yeah, we don't. We do take the tomatoes at the end of the year and make tomato sauce out of them, but that's pretty much all I do for that part.
What kind of vegetables are you allowed to have on the keto diet? I'm not really sure about, because even with Dr. Gundry, there are specific vegetables that you're really not supposed to eat. So I was wondering how that works with keto, like the
Yeah,
differences, kind of.
yeah, for sure. Like any cruciferous vegetables, like um, cauliflower, broccoli, um, uh, like even lettuce, leafy lettuce, that kind of stuff. Like having a salad on keto, there's really nothing wrong with it. Tomatoes are kind of the um, sort of sticking point sometimes in the community, because tomatoes are a little bit higher in sugar. Personally, I don't mind them. I'll eat them as long as there's no added sugar in the tomato sauce or something like that. Bell peppers are not too bad. Obviously, getting into like the green peppers and that is better than the orange and yellow, because those ones are a little higher in sugars. Again, it comes down to what.
The sugar and bell peppers. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, it's kind of again, it's one of these things that is so specific from person to person, right? Like some people can handle having more fresh produce and it doesn't bother them. It doesn't, affect their weight loss or the maintenance or whatever. And again, it depends on where you are in your journey too, because you want to, like when I first started, we were eating a lot of like roasted cauliflower and stuff like that. But now, 4.5 years later, I don't mind eating things like green beans and carrots, which again are sort of higher on the glucose scale, if you would.
Yeah.
So it's really sort of tailored to your specific needs. You're just really trying to avoid the potatoes, and sweet potatoes aren't so bad, but they have a higher um, sugar level in them as well. Celery. Well, celery is basically just crunchy water, right? So
Yeah.
things like that. So that's basically where I stick to as far as vegetables go.
Now, a lot of people don't realize when they're on a diet or some kind of lifestyle change that they're drinking a lot of their calories. So, what kind of things do you drink with the ketogenic diet?
Well, obviously well, I don't probably drink as much water as all the health experts would say that you're supposed to drink. I don't really find a benefit of trying to drink 2 gallons of water a day like some of these people are saying.
Yeah.
Every day I start my day with this element. It's an electrolyte mix, basically. So I drink one of those with 16 ounces of water every morning. It just gives me the electrolytes that I need for the day. And then if I want something sweeter, I've replaced like regular sodas with Zevia sodas. It's a company that makes those soda using stevia for the sweetener. Again, I can't sit here and say that I've, not had a Diet Coke since I started, because I do once in a while.
Yeah. What's your favorite flavor of the Zevia?
Probably the creamy root beer.
Oh, I haven't tried that one. I like the cream soda. That's my favorite one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good. That and the Dr. Zevia. So their version of Dr. Pepper is pretty good as well. Those ones have caffeine in them too, though. So it's kind of, you got to kind of watch what's in these ones. There's no sugar in them, but they've got half of a cup of coffee of caffeine in them as well.
I think maybe at the very beginning when you're starting keto, you might not do the potatoes or the sweet potatoes, but I think later on, is what Jason's saying, he did start eating some of these more sweet things because he's lost the weight, and he's more at the maintenance level of it than the beginning.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that is 100% different for every person. Like there's lots of people out there in the YouTube space that, are going to say, okay, well, you can eat pretty much anything that's natural, fruits and vegetables and meats and fish and all that. And still, that's a good, healthy way to live. But like, that's more of a paleo type diet. The problem is a lot of the people that are saying this are also, 25 and have 0% body fat. So they have nothing, like they're already in shape. They have a good metabolism still. And that if you're coming from, where I was almost 50 when I started, and I was 80 pounds overweight. It takes a lot of, getting rid of the things that cause that. Cause I was eating gluten-free for about 6 years before I started keto, and I was feeling better. But the problem is when you're eating a lot of the non-gluten type starches like rice and potatoes and all that, I wound up putting on a lot of weight because of that. So personally, I stay away from the grains like the rices and the potatoes. But again, like you're saying, a lot of people can get to the point where they can reintroduce things like that, on an occasional basis. One sweet potato, every few weeks or a couple of months isn't going to kill anyone, right? So
exactly.
But again, if you have the ability to say, well, I'm going to do it this time, and then I'm not going to do it, next week or tomorrow night too, then, by all means, if it works for you, then go for it.
Instead of buying the whole bag, just buy like a couple of individual bakers, or buy one big baker and cut it in half for you and your hubby to both have a half if you're going to have the potato. Because if you buy the whole bag, you're eventually going to eat it. Hello, Jean.
Yeah, that's pretty good weight loss right there.
Wow, sure. That is a good weight loss. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is your favorite keto dessert that you make? Do you have one?
Well, I guess I don't really, I haven't really made too many keto desserts. I guess I've never really been someone to eat desserts necessarily. I like during the summer, like we have a strawberry farm down the road from us here. So you can go basically get strawberries that are picked the same day that you're buying them. And to me, a dessert is just, having a bowl of strawberries or something. And, I guess it's, if you have some sugar-free whipped cream or something like that, then that's fine too. I've made a lot of sort of sweeter chaffles that are, pretty good for that kind of stuff. And I'm going to try, one of my fall videos this year is going to try and make a pumpkin pie chaffle. So we'll see how that. Yeah,
so I can watch it.
Yeah. And I have made pumpkin pie before that was used like an almond crust and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
to be honest with you, I'm the only one in the house that's keto, or in our direct like family, or even like the friends group that we're in is
I
keto.
was
So we
going
don't
to ask
know
you if
what.
your whole family was eating it with you or if you're eating it by yourself.
No, it's just me. We do have. I have a couple of friends that are sort of trying to eat lower carb and that, but yeah,
Are you
it's sort of
married,
trying.
Jason, or are you single? I don't
I'm
know.
married. Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were, but I wasn't sure. I had not quite seen that in the video, so I was like, I was going to ask, like, are you eating it by yourself? Does your eye, like okay, the way we're kind of doing it is during the week, hubby eats what I eat. And on the weekends, when the daughter's here, he eats regular. And then I usually make them something different, and I'll have like a salad or a shake or something I can have. So I make my own thing basically. That's kind of how we've been doing it. So he gets a little bit of leeway. But I
Mm,
think he's already actually lost a little bit of weight because he said some of his pants are a little bit. Guys lose weight so much faster. It's terribly unfair.
yes. Yeah. It's a definite fact that a guy can just stop eating potato chips for 2 weeks and lose 20 pounds, where their wife will uh, go completely clean for 6 months and not lose an ounce, right?
I
So
know. I even see that
it's
on some of these survival shows. Um, they'll say the men's weight loss and the women's weight loss. The guy always loses more weight than the girl. It's like every time I compare, it's always the guy that loses the most every single.
yeah.
Do you have a specific book that you followed when you very first started keto?
Not really. It was more sort of YouTube influencers that I sort of learned from. Over the years, I have picked up some books. I don't know if I have them down here. I may not. Couple by there's a doctor, goes by the name of Dr. Ken Berry. He's sort of big in the keto community, as far as a doctor who went from being overweight himself, and you know realized that he was giving his patients the wrong information the whole time. So now he's given up his practice, and he basically focuses on YouTube and helping people. So books, no, but I did buy one book from him. I've I picked up a couple of books on different topics, but specifically for keto. Um, I think I got a cookbook from another keto channel, but it was all because I had gotten to know them on YouTube first. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not really a big into reading too much, so it's I'd rather search out different channels and learn everything from them.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first YouTube channel I watched that did keto recipes, I'm trying to remember what her channel name is, but it was Voon Chow. I don't know if you've ever heard of her before in the community. And
No,
I
I don't think
haven't.
so, but it's a big community, so.
Yeah, it is. It is. I did see, let's see. I did watch some of your, like I had your playlist going one day of your different interviews and stuff, and you've interviewed a lot of people. I was like, well, I wonder if he's ever been interviewed before. And then I was thinking he would be a really good, interesting guest, like somebody different. Um, Welcome
Yeah.
in Cooking with Nat. Let's see what. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, there's always
Definitely a
different
factor.
factors. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's how I started my YouTube channel. Um, the first few videos that I did on the channel were interviews with people I met from Instagram. Um, so I started that quite a while ago, and then I stopped doing it for a while, and then sort of this last year I've started doing more interviews. So, and I've been on the other side of it a few times, but I like to bring in as many sort of different stories as I can, in hopes that some of what the guest is talking about will help other people, because again, I think that the big thing is that, I may have 20 different interviews on my channel, but basically there's 20 different stories to go along with them,
Yeah,
because
everybody's going to have something different to give that other
Mhm.
people haven't heard, or going to say it in a different way that people can understand.
Mhm.
Do you do any intermittent fasting? You ever done anything like that, or
Oh
did they
yeah.
do that in keto? I don't even know if they do or not.
Oh yeah. It's kind of it's one of those topics where, if you've been around keto on Instagram or on YouTube for a while, it's kind of it's not a touchy subject. I should say that the problem I find with it, and to answer your question about do I do it? Yeah, pretty much every day. Like I'll try to finish eating and not eat after, let's say, 8 or 8:30 p.m. And then typically the earliest I'm going to eat the next day is around noon. And then
Yeah,
some days it's not till supper the next day, so like 4 or 5 p.m.
yeah.
Right?
In the
I
morning,
have
I'm
been.
doing till I've made it to about 10:30. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to move that back a little bit. So I might try 10:45 and just try to keep moving in until I get to, preferably would be lunchtime, and then eat my
Mhm.
last meal at dinner. And what that does is it gives your body the chance to process that food, because when
Mhm.
you break your fast, once you break your fast in the morning, you stop burning,
Mhm.
right? That's the way I understand it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of different, sort of uh, parts to fasting. In the keto community, the one problem, or that's not a problem, I guess, is the one thing I've seen from a lot of people that start a ketogenic diet, because they've been, watching YouTube and Instagram and all that. Everyone thinks that they need to start fasting as well, you know. But if you're just trying to change your diet, trying to change what you're eating on a daily basis, I don't think, like, fasting is a type of stress basically on your body. Like you say, if you're trying to stretch out your fasting time, it can be pretty stressful, because everyone knows what it's like to be hungry, right?
Yeah.
Um, so
You
that's why
should know what it's like to be hungry. I mean, I think most of us don't really know what it's like
Mhm.
to feel hungry, and maybe we need to like feel that a little bit and kind of close
Yeah.
that window. If you watch Dr. Gundry, man, his window was like very short. I'm like, I don't think I could ever get like that, but I'd like
Mhm.
for it to be like noon to 6 or something. That's
Sure.
preferably where I would like to be if I could do that. So I'm
Mhm.
working toward that goal.
Yeah, and that's the way I look at it too. My biggest concern a lot of times, and like fasting's been pretty popular for quite a few years now. Even people that are still eating like a standard American diet are using fasting to their benefit. I think the problem, and especially if you're on like a specific kind of diet or lifestyle like keto or whatever, the problem that I see with a lot of people is that they're giving themselves a 6 hour eating window, but they're not eating anywhere near actually enough calories.
During that
I'm
time
not,
period.
yeah, and I'm not, like, to me, I don't count. I have never counted calories. I don't believe in counting calories myself, but I do know that if you're not eating what your body needs for that next day, you're going to wind up in a position where you're not properly nourished, and there's been lots of people I know that have I've heard the stories. They're like, well, I went 3 years only eating 600 calories a day, right?
Wow.
But and you can actually gain weight in that way, because your body is going to be stressed.
Adjusted. It adjusted to it.
Yeah, it'll get stressed out so much and think it's not going to get the nutrition that it needs, that it'll just keep storing whatever you give it.
Hello, wild edibles. Let's see. How much weight have you lost on the ketogenic lifestyle?
Well, the last time I actually used a scale before I put it away and banished it to the closet. So I started at the first day that I started keto, I was 278 pounds. I think that's where I started. And then after the first year, the lowest weight I saw on the scale before I put it away was 198. So it was right around 80 pounds. And that was, I'm pretty sure, was about the lowest I got to. I'm not there now because I'm a firm believer that your body's going to basically balance out wherever it's meant to be. So again, I haven't weighed myself in about 3 years, but I'm sitting around 210 pounds. That's basically where I stick, because that's where I think I feel the best. Again, trying to get down to the weight you were when you're in high school. It's it's a noble goal. It's not always necessarily going to happen. Yeah.
Nope. I don't even think I would. I think I would look. I think I would look sickly at that weight now. Because I wasn't even 100 pounds when I left high school. I was tiny. So I don't think that would look very good. Do you do any exercise along with your ketogenic lifestyle?
Specific exercise, I haven't. I had here and there. Yeah, I'll walk on the treadmill once in a while, and I've got some resistance bands that I should probably get out of the closet more often. But my job keeps me, on my feet, walking and climbing ladders and lifting things all day long. So I don't, at this point, I'm not, specifically exercising. I try and stay busy doing things around the house as well, trying to do that. If I ever got to the point where my job didn't keep me as busy, I'd have to get into more, dedicated exercising. But I was able to lose all the weight without, stepping foot in a gym or doing any of that. So it was basically all diet related.
You can do it. You can do it on all exercise. You can do it on all diet, and you can do it with both. Technically, it's not a right answer. Everybody's body is different. If I have a moderator, will you guys put up Just Jason Keto's link in the chat? I also have it pinned at the very top. So if that's easier for you. I did want to stop and just say that real quick.
Thank you.
Hello, Tiffany, Canadian Family Life. Oh, okay. Trying to hit that button. All right. I'm looking back at my list. What state are you in? I'm just curious.
I'm in Canada.
Oh, you're in Canada. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Sort of Southern Ontario.
Southern Ontario. So I don't know much about all the. I mean, I have several friends. Probably my closest friend in Canada would be Lori's World. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She kind of does gardening and art and computer tech stuff. She's kind of very well-rounded. But yeah, that's probably my closest Canada friend.
Sure.
Oh, let's see. What are the health benefits of eating keto, do you think?
Well, the biggest benefit as far as your health goes is once you sort of restrict the carbohydrates that you're eating. The first thing that happens when you do that is it reduces inflammation in your body, like your entire body. So you're basically flushing out, water that's being stored in your body, and then the inflammation goes down. So like if you have things like arthritis, and I spent my entire teens in competitive judo, so I was I had a lot of, my back was always sore and my knees were sore, and I had plantar fasciitis for quite a while before I started. And basically since then, it's not that my back never gets sore, but it used to be that it would be sore for 2 weeks before it would get better. And now it's just a couple of days usually. So
yeah, my back's actually a little bit sore today. I don't really
Yeah,
know why. I just kind of woke up with it that way, and
sure.
I'm gonna take
So, like I say,
just dealing with it.
yeah. So, like getting rid of the inflammation that everybody walks around with, unfortunately, when you're, eating some of the food that we have out there now, it's a snowball effect that can really help. Your inflammation goes down, your blood pressure normalizes. It gets even to the point where there's been lots of people say like my eyesight's not too bad. I like to wear my glasses when I'm, at my computer and stuff like that. But there's been cases where people's eyesight gets better because the inflammation in the blood cells has
Yeah.
gone away. There's, people that or even women that, weren't able to get pregnant before keto, and then they go keto and they wind up getting pregnant without even
I've heard
planning
stuff
to.
like
So,
that too. All that extra
yeah.
body weight's not helping you get
Mhm.
pregnant. I have read that, seen that.
Yeah. So, like there's so many uh, little things and then big things. Cause like even because the ketogenic lifestyle or diet has been around since the 1800s, basically, because it was first introduced on a therapeutic level to treat children with epilepsy, because it was found that if the children would eat a like completely zero carbohydrate, high fat diet, that their epileptic seizures would go away. So that's basically where it originated. Um, but that's a therapeutic type ketogenic lifestyle, whereas what we know it as today is more of a, just a diet. So it's not quite as strict on carbohydrates or as high in fat.
Can you explain how you get into ketosis? Because um, I'm not actually keto, so I just want to kind of understand that process because I've heard it referred to, but I never really completely understood it.
Yeah, it basically there's a couple of getting into ketosis is basically restricting carbohydrate intake to a certain level. The typical ratio is that you want to keep it under 20 grams of carbohydrates per day. That will allow your body to start converting that stored fat that's in your body uh, to ketones so that you can use them for energy. So that's basically how it works. The one thing that goes along with it, though, is that being in ketosis and being converted into burning fat instead of glucose means that you need to increase the amount of fat intake in your diet, because basically you're taking away what your body is used to for energy, which keeps you going all day, which is sugar and carbs that we're all used to eating all the time, and replacing it with fat. We all have enough, basically we all have stored fat on our body that can be used for energy. But we also need to feed our bodies with the right nutrients to keep us going. Personally, I'm sort of more, I eat quite a bit of protein. So I'm a protein heavy diet with very low carb. But ultimately, just keeping carbs as low as possible, that's what keeps you in ketosis, as they say, basically.
Mm-hmm. It's a good answer. I'm gonna play that back so I can hear that again. So, and I probably will listen to what you say again and maybe like
Mhm.
take some notes because I I hate that people like really start questioning me when I say, okay, I'm doing plant paradox. I'm mixing in some trim healthy mama and some keto, and they're looking at me like I'm
Mhm.
crazy. But I'm like, but I'm kind of picky. So
Mhm.
and also Dr. Kudry is trying to get you to eat these fancy foods. And I live in a small town. So we basically have Walmart and a United supermarket and a few little dollar type stores. That's it. We don't have any fancy, you know, natural food stores or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For any stuff like that, I have to drive an hour to Abilene, Texas, to buy anything like that, anything more
Mm-hmm.
fancy. Now, our Walmart does have a few things like almond flour and exithum gum and some of those ingredients that you use, but
Mm-hmm.
there's some things they don't have that I have to get in a bigger city.
Oh, for sure. But I think at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, personally, I'm, obviously keto's worked for me. So that's sort of my lane, but whatever works for you, whether or not you have to sort of combine different things when you find if it works, that's because if, that's the only thing that's going to work is if it keeps you happy and, it
Exactly.
keeps you feeling good. And as far as having the best of everything, and that's been a big part of the community, unfortunately, that we're trying to dispel, is that there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, well, you need to have grass-fed beef and organic this and organic that. And it's like, do the best you can, and do what you can, like
Yeah.
Dr.
I
Ken
do eat
Barrett,
a lot of grass-fed
yeah,
beef. I do eat that. But I have
yeah,
trouble finding the chicken here, though.
mm-hmm,
It's
yeah,
like with all your
yeah,
uh,
yeah, like, yeah,
full of your
I'm
carbs
very, yeah,
stuff. I have a little more trouble with the chicken.
yeah. Like we like to say, it's hot dogs and mustard aren't the best thing out there, but they're still still better than, Twinkies and Coke, right? So
Yeah.
it's again, it comes down to what you can afford, what you can get. If you can get grass-fed beef, well, that's great. Like unfortunately, I had a butcher or like a country farm market, 5 minutes from my house that just closed down.
Yeah.
I was getting all my beef, so now I have to find somewhere else to get it. But
Yeah, I'm actually looking into that. We have somebody that goes to church with us that
mhm,
actually does raise cows and stuff like that. So we might be able to do that in the future. Like, I think they
mhm,
do it where you could buy like half, you
mhm.
split it with one other person or whatever. And that probably keeps you good for a while. And that'll be the best meat there. Also, I eat a lot of venison, a lot of deer meat because
Mhm.
my husband hunts when he can, and my brother is a hunter, so we get some of his cast-offs and stuff. So we do eat deer meat in place of hamburger for part of the season. So that's actually healthier too. So
Sure. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. For sure.
What plans do you have for your channel, from this point forward? Do you have any collabs coming up or any series or anything you're going to do?
Yep. So yeah, we started. I saw you commented on the one video I did, the recent one where we did the school lunches, trying
Yeah.
to come up with healthier school lunches. So that was part of a collaboration with, I think it was 8 other channels, sort of keto focused channels. So that's going to be a twice a month kind of thing. We're going to do a recipe in the first week and then something different in the third week of every month.
Are
Whether,
they
but I
all
think,
putting them is there a channel that's putting them like in a playlist or something?
yeah, it's the one channel that sort of spearheaded it, called Hungry Heath. They're sort of, they put it together and we got it all together as a group. It's basically just a lot of channels that hang out in live streams together. And then as we get more organized, again, this was the first one that we did. I'm trying to put all of the channels links in my descriptions and stuff like that, but we will start putting together playlists every month so you can just find them all in one spot. So yeah, it's just
Maybe
getting
join
started. So
some kind of collab like that because I do cooking on my channel and I do have a
mhm,
playlist of like healthy eating.
mhm.
I have the bad stuff and I have the good stuff, and I
Yeah.
want to stay in the good stuff. I really do. But yeah,
Mhm.
it is hard because sometimes there'll be collabs, that are not, but I would like to join in on something like that. That'd be really cool. And I'd
Yep, for
like to see
sure.
that playlist so I can maybe follow some of those channels and, do some more learning about things. But you're opening up some thoughts, you're kind of giving me an idea because, sometimes what you think something is and what it really is two different things.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome in Life with Lucretia. Is that how you would say that, Lucretia?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Yeah, so that's what we're doing collaboration wise. As far as the other things on the channel, it's kind of just trying to keep doing things that I'm doing, coming up with different recipes and trying to get my watch hours in.
I was going to ask you about that. Where are you on your watch hours? I've seen you doing the bunches of live streams. I thought he must be trying to get to that monetizing point.
Yeah, I'm still about 1,000 hours away from the first step. So I'm just around 2,000 hours right now.
Oh, okay.
So that's
have your going while I was at church earlier, because I have this rule. I don't bring my phone to church. And it's a funny story, actually, because I took my phone to Sunday school probably 15 years ago. And my phone started playing a song that was not supposed to be played in church, right? So ever since that day, I've never brought my phone into the church again because that was so embarrassing. So what I do is when I leave, I decide whose channel I'm going to run while I'm at church. And so you were playing when I walked back in from church, you were still playing on my phone. So I just left my phone playing. So you out. So
yeah, that one's been running for 5 or 6 days now. So I'm just running. Well, I'm keeping them under 12 hours each, but then I'll just start a new one and run it for another 11 and a half hours. So, it's helping. I'm getting, 50, 60 hours a day that I wouldn't normally be getting. So, and it's not like I'm
do something like that, but I know. I figured that's what it was. You were trying to monetize your channel, get it monetized.
Yeah.
See, my stepdaughter, I usually ask my husband if he has a question to ask, and my stepdaughter had this question. Her question was, did you have a specific health problem was the reason you started eating the keto? And I think you kind of alluded to that, but didn't really get into it. And you don't have to answer that question if you don't want to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And I've always been open as far as why I started. Like there's a lot of things to it. I've always had some, nagging pains and ailments and that. But ultimately, the reason I started keto is because my first grandson was born in 2017. So by the time I started in 2019, he's a 2-year-old that's always wants to play. He's always running around. And I couldn't keep up with him. I'd try to play with him and I'd be out of breath and, sore back and couldn't play on the ground with him. And so ultimately, that was the reason I started. I just made a decision saying, hey, I need to do something if I'm going to be around to play with this kid, and watch him grow up. So that's why I started. There was other things that went along with it. I wanted to lose weight and feel better, but ultimately that was the driving force and why I changed.
So Just Jason Keto, his link is pinned to the top of the chat because someone asked what your channel name was.
Yeah, you can find it under that. I've actually since added
and more.
Yeah.
I did remember Tuber Chat saying that. Yeah. And after I have an interview with someone, I add their name to my featured channels. And I was looking you up and I was looking for the 3 words and there it is. That's it right there.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that on there because I'm trying to sort of branch out and
do some
put up videos about other stuff that isn't specifically keto. Like I did all my hummingbird videos this summer. And so, I don't want people to come or to think that that's all I'm doing. it's 90% of what I do on my channel, but I figured I'd put the and more in there at least so that people aren't shocked when they see things like that.
That's a good idea. I mean, that's a good thing about my channel name. It's very broad to do whatever it is I do. Gail's Southern Living. Okay, what does she do? She lives in the South. That's all we know.
Sure.
Rushing Wind Mountain. Welcome in, Ruby. And welcome in, Abandoned Exploring Mike. I just slow down and say that so I didn't mess it up. Hi, Ariel. I think I pretty much got through all of my questions I had written down. Do you have any questions for me? Just anything you thought of while we were talking?
Yeah, no, like I say, I guess not specifically, I've been enjoying all what you're doing as far as your, the Fall Fest kind of things like that. And that's, I think my channel sort of made the turn once I started reaching out to other people, specifically through Tuber Chat and getting to know other creators such as yourself and a lot of other people in here, like Rushing Wind Mountain, Canadian Family Life, like getting to know other people.
Yeah.
I think that's really what changed my how things were going with my channel, because I wasn't 2 years into it. I wasn't really growing at all. I was putting out lots of content, but it didn't really go anywhere.
There's a lot of people in different communities, and there's a lot of them in the homesteading type community who like to stay in their particular niche, and they just believe that's where you're supposed to always be. But I like to learn, and I want to continue to learn things. And the more I expand, just like Fall Fest, if you look at it, it's actually over about 7 different genres. We have Rushing Wind Mountain, Ariella Viking Venture and Victuals, Canadian Family Life, Homestead channels, hunting channels, all kinds of channels. I mean, there's so many different genres, crochet channels, sewing channels, and that just shows the broad range of where I'm kind of joining communities together. You see where I've joined into the paper crafting, I've joined in the crochet community. And I went on a live, it was a Christmas on the Crest Line. And I went in there and he called me a yarn tuber. And I'm like, is he trying to say I do crochet? Because I don't even know how to crochet. But I have friends in the crochet community, and I learned how to make stitch markers, and I give those away. But I don't actually know how to crochet. So in his mind, he thought that I was a crochet person because I hang out with them. Like I join they have things like Fall Fest. Like I'm not the first person to ever do Fall Fest. It actually, the first time I ever saw it was in the crochet community. And then also Off Kilter Homestead has done one. And when they did it, it was a lot of pretty much homestead type channels. But in mine, I join all these different communities together. And if you look, you're going to get people from all over the place. And I noticed from last year, my paper crafters are commenting on my homestead channels, and I noticed them in each other's comments. So it's kind of cool to see all that happen, that, all these communities are joining together, and Fall Fest kind of joined them together. So that's kind of what I'm doing, trying to help the small channels grow, and also growing my own channel. Last year when I did the Fall Fest, I got about 250 new friends on my channel. That was the first year. And then this year I did it the second year, I got 120 new friends on my channel. So it's actually getting less because there's less of those people who aren't already joined up with me, I guess you would say. But I like joining the communities together and just meeting new people, because every time I do it, new channels join that didn't join the year before. So I'm on 2 years now, and it's about, actually we started doing the drawings yesterday, and then we're going to do the big grand prize drawing live. And do you know kind of how the Fall Fest works?
I've listened to it. I haven't, I would definitely need a better, more detailed explanation, but I got the basic gist of it. Channels,
48 channels join. They all pick a semifinalist winner. And some of the channels are giving away a semifinalist prize. Some of them aren't. But even so, if they are or aren't, they send that name over to me. I put all those names on a wheel and draw for one grand prize winner that will win 48 prizes. So every single channel will send them a prize. So that's basically what it's like a collaboration giveaway is basically what it is. So
for sure.
It's pretty cool.
But then everyone gets to meet everyone else and be part of something.
I've encouraged it to be supportive, where other people are sharing each other's videos, and where the channels that are commenting on the other channels, are joining those channels and watching more than one video, more than just their Fall Fest video, but trying to get them to join into that community as well. And this kind of, like I say, melding the communities together. So that's my point, is to, it's getting less and less of a French, I'm not getting as many people every year, but I'm helping join communities, and I'm helping these small channels grow, because these really tiny channels, sometimes they can get like 90 new friends off of something like that. So, and if you've never joined it before, like the people who are on their first year, they get a ton of people. I looked at some of the numbers yesterday. Hello, Keto Mama Michelle. I just started watching some of her videos too. And I'm going to continue. She's one of the few I picked up, probably from Tuber Chat, but I am going to go through and try to make friends with some of your keto friends. I'm going to go over and stalk your channel one day and make some friends with some of your keto buddies so I can learn some more stuff. But I do appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, no problem.
It's very interesting, and I've learned a lot of stuff. And like I said, I'm going to replay so I can, listen to. Does anyone have any questions for Jason? And could somebody put up Jason's link one more time in the chat for me? Let's see how many. I'm sure I have quite a few moderators here. Let's see how many I have. I like to have my phone next to me when I'm doing live so I can make channels moderators and stuff.
Yeah. Looks like Tiffany just put it in there. So.
Okay. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate it. So tonight I'm going to be going on Garden State Gardener for an interview. I don't have any idea what he's going to ask me about. But Garden State Gardener, I don't know if any of you guys are following him, but he gives away seeds and crochet stuff. He has a lot of different genres in his community as well. So Garden State Gardener is doing Sunday Fun Day this week. So if you haven't gone and watched the registration video for the giveaway, you might want to do that pretty quick.
Yeah.
He is doing the giveaway today. So
how do you deal with going back keto after doing a rest? Well, again, personally myself, I don't sort of go off keto. But I think it's just like anything else. You just have to get right back on it and, treat it as if you're starting over. And, a lot of people, the one thing I've seen in the community that kind of worries me sometimes is that there's people that will be keto for quite a long time, and then they fall off the wagon and they start punishing themselves and that kind of thing worries me sometimes. But, like I say, it's
that day, just get back up on the horse today. Forgive yourself and get up and try again. And that's what I'm having to keep doing, because the harder I get, the harder, it gets harder, and you keep punishing. And I do that too. I punish myself, and then I have to tell myself, okay, mindset, start over tomorrow. Just start over tomorrow and just keep going forward from this point. But stay prepared. Keep the stuff you need around you. That's really the most important thing, in my opinion, is keep what you think you should be eating around you.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you have a cupboard full of Oreos and all that kind of stuff, then it's really easy to fall back into old habits. But
definitely,
just get right back on it and forget that yesterday happened or the last 6 months happened or whatever. again, going back to like the one thing I always say, the most important thing to me, at least, is not what you put in your mouth. It's what you have in your head.
Yes.
You know, figure out why you want to make a change, commit to that. The mindset is everything. Just like Michelle is saying there, if you're not in the right frame of mind, if you haven't committed to it mentally, the physical part is going to be really hard.
Definitely. Well, I look forward to learning more, watching more of your videos, and making friends with some of your friends. And maybe I'll find some of your friends who are doing these keto chats so I can go listen to them.
For sure. Yeah,
I'll coming in. I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, next time we do the collab, I'll send you some information about it. I'll just email it to you if you want to take a look at it.
Great.
And see what's on the horizon, sort of thing.
Yeah. So. Add to my healthy playlist. That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We don't eat out much. We eat mostly at home, so that could be a problem. We also live in a small city, but yeah, if you lived in a bigger city, all those fast food places are not your friend.
For sure.
Your friend.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I learned a lot from you today. You were a good guest, and you have a lot of information out there. And
yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to you, Jason. And like I said, I have a little interview to go prepare for. I'm going to be interviewed on Garden State Gardener. Thank you for coming in, Jason.
For sure. Yeah. Bye-bye. Good night, everyone.
Okay. Thank you guys for coming in today. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, all you guys who came from the Tuber Chat community to come by and see me. If you would like to be interviewed on Gail's Southern Living segment, pretty much any genre, let me know. Email this email on the bottom here, and I would be glad to interview Keto Mama Michelle. Hey, we could talk some more keto stuff. Canadian Family Tiffany, I'd love to interview you. And any of you guys that are in here, just give me an email if you're interested in coming up and having a chat with me. You guys have a good night. And don't forget, Garden State Gardener is live at 6 p.m. Central Time. I should be on there about 6:30. Thank you guys all for coming in. I appreciate all of you. Bye, everybody.